Hi, Bruce Johnson here, and I want to ask you one question today. That one question is going to determine everything about your business. It's one question that will determine whether this is going to be an okay year, a bad year, or an unbelievable year. And that one question is this: what is your hustle factor? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, 1 being low, what is your hustle factor? Now, I know this is an unusual question for a business growth strategist like myself to ask, but by the time we're done, you'll understand why I'm asking this question. It really is important. Now, a 10 means that you're really hustling, that you're driven, that you're passionate about what you're doing right now. If you're down to, let's say, a 5, you're going through the motions. It's not like it's good or bad. You're just kind of going through the motions, right? You're doing what you need to do. Maybe you're meeting your plan or maybe just exceeding a little bit, but the passion's just not really there. That's a 5. And a 1 clearly would be somebody who's like picking up the wandads and looking and saying, should I get a job now? Or, maybe they're playing Angry Birds or Solitaire during the day, right? So that's a scale, 1 to 10. Where are you? What's your hustle factor? Now, whatever that number is that you picked, that one number will determine everything about your business this year. I don't care what your strategic plan is, and I do a lot of strategic planning. And in fact, I've never put that number on a strategic plan, but that one number, more than any other number, will determine how effective your strategic plan is going to be. One of the great things about being a business growth strategist and coach consultant is that I get to work with an awful lot of different people in different industries. And whoever you are as a teacher, you always have certain points of view. And so regardless of who you're talking to, you have certain things you say that are similar to client, even though you customize what you're saying. Well, when I talk to clients, I'm often saying some of the similar things. And I might have client A, and this client here is hustling, and their business has grown double in the last 6 months. I got another client, we'll call them B, and they're not hustling, and guess what? Their business is flatlined. And when you see this over and over again, you keep asking the question, what is the difference? And I think it really is that hustle factor. Client A is the person who you give them an assignment and they go out and they do it. You say, hey, why don't you talk to 10 people, ask for referrals over the next 2 weeks? And not only do they talk to 10, maybe they talk to 12. They've already followed up on some of those leads, and they've done some other things in between those 2 weeks. Client B, you talk to, give them an assignment. 2 weeks later, nothing's been done. Client A is the person who's out there hustling all the time. They're talking to everyone they possibly can. They're the person who's out there trying to find some new strategic partner, some new joint venture partner. Maybe they're out there going to networking meetings. They're calling people on the phone. They're doing everything they can to generate more business. They're trying to grow their business. They're instituting new programs and policies, and they're coming up with new plans. They're just driven and hustling and trying to make it happen. That's client A. And surprisingly, they get great results. On the other hand, the client B is the person who's not feeling really excited about their business. They're kind of a little depressed. They come up with excuses. They spend a lot of their time working on plans and internal things, and they just never get around to somehow getting out and hustling new business. Now, it's not that the people in category B are bad at all. I mean, I love my clients. But the difference between the two really is stark. And if you're one of those people, and maybe you are, where you're down and maybe your hustle factor is a 2 or 3, well, it's not that you're bad. It's just that you got to get the hustle back. And once you get the hustle back, those same ideas, those same strategies that you might be trying right now that aren't succeeding, they will. Completely different results. And it all is about the hustle factor. And if you're the owner or CEO of your company, even more important, because everything goes down from you. In fact, if you haven't seen my video on Leader Draft, you've got to watch that, because it all comes down from there. So if you want to fulfill your strategic plan this year, you've got to have a high hustle factor. Now, if your hustle factor is kind of low, what can you do? Well, here are a couple thoughts for you real quickly. Number 1, get back in touch with why you got in the business in the first place. One of the unfortunate things about growing a business is that there's just a lot of work. And it's so easy to forget why we do what we do. In my case, right, the reason why I do what I do is I love influencing people. I love changing their lives. I'm passionate about that. When I remember that, I get excited. My hustle factor goes up. But all of a sudden, when I start thinking of all the internal stuff that has to go on, hustle factor kind of goes down. And so I know I personally need to do that. Maybe you do. Now, if that doesn't work for you, here's another thought. The second thought would be this. Maybe what you need to do is find a new goal. An awful lot of us who are entrepreneurial leaders, we're really goal-driven people. And maybe that's what you need to find. A goal for you that personally, not necessarily for the company, but for you personally, is inspiring, that motivates you, that gets you up in the morning and says, I want to achieve that. And I can't tell you what the goal is, but I do know that if you don't have a goal that inspires you, your hustle factor is going to be low. Now, if you're not a goal-driven person, how about number 3? The third idea would be to find an enemy. And what I mean by an enemy is you need to find somebody you can compete against. Again, a lot of us entrepreneurial leaders, we're really competitive people, right? And somehow in the midst of all the busyness of running a company, we often forget how to get back in touch with that competitive thing that's down here, that's in our gut. And so sometimes you need to find somebody who say, you know what, I'm going to beat that person. You know, we're going to get more revenue than them. We're going to get more subscribers than them. I don't know what it would be, but you find someone you want to compete against and get that drive coming back. And if that doesn't work for you, I got one more idea. And that fourth idea would be this: find a fun project for you. Right? And again, in the midst of all the stuff that you have to do in managing budgets and people and dealing with boards possibly and vendors, etc., it's easy to lose sight of fun, right? And a lot of us got in business because it was fun. So find a fun project for you. Maybe your own little skunk words, a new product, a new service, a new internal thing that you want to do, but something that you can oversee and once again get those creative juices going. So I don't know what it is that's going to work for you to get that hustle factor back up into that 9, 10 area, but whatever it is, you got to find it, right? Because even though you might have a great strategic plan, and I love strategic planning, if your hustle factor is a 3 or 4, it's just not going to happen. You'll end up with the same strategic plan year after year after year. You're not going to grow. But if that hustle factor is a 9 or a 10, you're going to be taken off, and it's going to be a whole different ball game. A whole different ball game. As Les Brown says, sometimes you just got to get hungry, right? Find what will get you hungry again, and your plans will take off. It'll end up being a great year. If your hunger factor is low, though, you got to figure out, how do I get it back up? And by the way, this is not a static number, okay? This is a dynamic number, and it changes daily and weekly. So you can't just say, okay, I'm a 9 today and stand there, because next week you could be a 2, by the way, right? A month from now or 6 months from now, you could be a 2. So you have to monitor it all the time, especially if you're the leader of your business or company, because everything flows down from you. If you haven't watched it, watch Leader Draft and make sure you own that principle, because everything flows down from you. So pay attention to your number, make sure that you're doing what you can to keep it up to a 9 or 10, and you'll have an unbelievable year. To your accelerated success, Bruce out.